Welcome dreamers, happy Wednesday and happy Halloweek. Our content this week is going to feature a lot of fall and Halloween themed builds. Last week we took a look at some player builds. We saw lots of interesting bases that use, a lot of different textures and resources. Some really cool builds. Great job to all those builders. But before we get into what themed building we're going to be making today, a couple of announcements. As stated in the previous videos, if you go down to the description, you'll find a link to DreamWorld's website where you can purchase the game in early access, or you can get our free trial to play the game for yourself. And if you like what you see, you can buy the game. Also, for new players that complete DreamWorld's free trial, you'll be able to enter the raffle that is currently going on. There'll be 1st to 5th place prizes to all new players that complete the free trial. And for existing players, you can enter our building competition. If you make a build, take a screenshot of it and post it in the DreamWorld Discord, you'll also be eligible to win some prizes. So head down to the link in the description to go to DreamWorld's website to get the free trial if you would like to participate in the Halloween raffle. Again, there'll be 1st to 5th place prizes. So now, today's build. We'll be making fall and Halloween themed builds, but today we're gonna be making a fall farmhouse build. You can think of this build like one of those farmhouses you go to that has an orchard where you can pick apples, there'll be a pumpkin patch and maybe you can take a hayride at. That's the kind of build I'm going for today. So let's get right to building our farmhouse in DreamWorld. For our build today, it's going to be a 2-part build. For today's video, we'll be building the first half of the farmhouse. This first half is just going to be the barn, the interior of the barn, and then a pumpkin patch on the side, as well as a road leading up to the barn, which we can expand on in the next video. There is a little bit of farming we have to do though. As usual, gotta farm to build. We need to farm some redwood as this barn is going to require a lot of red wood. If you remember back when we did our, basics of building video and I built my main house and my barn, this barn is going to be similar to the look of my barn that I made. I'll use a few different resources, but for the most part, we'll be using redwood as well as wheat. That's right, wheat is the other material we're going to have to farm because we're going to be using it for the floor of the barn. I'll explain why when we get to that part, but those 2 resources we're going to farm right now. As we farm, I'll talk a little bit about my vision for the entire build. So we want to, first of all today, build the farmhouse. It's going to be a 2-story farmhouse with a nice loft area, maybe a walkway, and I want it to feel more open than the first barn I built. Then right next to it, we're going to build a pumpkin patch, which won't fully grow out today, but we'll have some pumpkins and a little farm area next to the barn. And then I'll build a gravel road leading up to the barn and, maybe give a little leeway leading off of it because I want to build off of that road to, make maybe a corn maze in the future, maybe a wheat maze. And then I also want to leave some room to build some farm stands. These farm stands are where you're going to buy your apple cider donuts, your apple cider, all the classic fall foods and the fall drinks. So while I'm farming, I have all those ideas in mind while I'm gathering resources. This is what I'm going to be building. Along with farming out in the wild though, I also want to remember to hit the farms at my own base. This is the floating farm in the sky and the farm, behind my main house. They both have wheat, in the farm, so I'm going to make sure to get that. And I'm also going to farm the oak trees because I'm going to use the oak wood to actually make fencing around the barn. But now that we've gathered our resources, I'm going to find a semi-flat area in the forest. This area is going to be kind of close to my home base so I can go back and forth if I need to, make new tools or if I need to get more resources. I need this area to be semi-accessible. So we're going to flatten out the ground, not a massive area, but I want a big enough area where I can, build a farmhouse, get enough room for a farmhouse, a pumpkin patch, and to start a road. And hopefully have some room left over. We'll get right to tilling the ground, and we might even have to, farm out with our shovel parts of this hill. There's a little bit of a hillside here. I can't find a perfectly flat ground, but we'll get close enough, I think, is where we're gonna get here. Okay, we've started a nice large area, to till out and farm out. So now we can start building. I'm gonna start by placing down the foundations. I want to have both wheat and red wood foundation pieces. I'm going to interchange them both because I want certain sections to feel different. Like, for example, the entranceway, I'm going to make red wood, and then the sides of the build, I'm going to make, wheat, because this is going to be the area where the pens are for, the animals. If you think about a pen for like a horse or something, it's going to be covered with hay because they've been eating hay. So the wheat foundations give off that vibe. And then where I put redwood is going to be, the cleaner parts of the floor. Alright, now that the floor is down, it's at the proper height and the proper size, we can start putting windows down on the sides of the build. However, on the back and fronts of the build, I'll just use the redwood walls. Again, I want some diversity in the build pieces, and there's not much to see from the back or front of the build anyways. Now that we're done with the foundations and walls of the build, let's go to the front where we're gonna put down the door frames and staircases. And then I'll also throw some pillars in the main area that I'm gonna expand upon later. These will mock support beams for the second floor. At the back of the build, I'm going to make a quick change. Let's put a cylindrical room at the end where I'm going to actually put the staircase that goes to the second floor. Let's also throw some windows at the top of this so that you get a good view as you get to the second floor. Now that we have access to the second floor, let's start by putting the flooring down for that floor. We're not going to completely fill this level out. We're going to have more of a walkway around the second floor. When I think barn or farmhouse in a second floor, I think of more of a loft instead of like a full second floor. I'll then go back downstairs and fill in all the pieces I didn't before. We'll finish putting in all the walls, and then we'll also build the pillars up to the second level. To the second floor, we're gonna make this level a little bit more open than the first. On the sides of the build, we're gonna put fences and windows. When all is said and done, you'll be able to look outside of this part of the build and have a good view from the second floor. Again, for the front and the back, I'm going to make this area more walled off. However, I will put another set of cylindrical windows by the staircase to keep the good views going. Since it's getting dark, I'm also going to throw down a few torches, which I'm going to move later and probably change the color of. I'm now going to finish the sides of the build. I'm going to put pillars on each side and as well as make more fences going across the top. I'm going to make sure that both sides of the build are exactly symmetrical and exactly the same. Now that we have all the walls filled in and both sides of the build are done, let's get to putting on the roof. We're gonna use light desert wood for the roof. I want this barn to have kind of a darker brown roof, and I think this is gonna pair pretty well with the red walls. So that's why I picked this particular wood to use. Now that the roof is almost done, I'm gonna go and make the banister for the second level. We'll just use fences and wrap it around to make sure you can't fall off the second story easily. It's essentially just a railing. Okay, I'm now gonna go ahead and finish the ceiling. I'm not gonna fill everything in perfectly because again, I want the build to be more open and feel more breathable. I'll just fill everything in so that the build feels complete. Now that that's done, let's go back down to the first floor and start constructing the animal pens. These we will put doors on, you know, with the door frames, but we're also gonna put in some wheat fences. This will make each pen enclosed and have its own separate area. And that's basically the interior of the build completely done. I'm now gonna get to constructing the road. While we did just level everything perfectly, I'm gonna have to dig a little bit more and mess up a little bit of that leveling to be able to fit the gravel roads in here. We're gonna use gravel foundation pieces and build them off of the actual stairs we put in. It'll just be a simple straight road leading away from the farmhouse. We'll have to do a little bit more terraforming to make sure everything fits and there's no dirt covering up the road, but it shouldn't be too much work. Using the oak wood we farmed, I'm gonna put some fencing alongside the road just to give it a little bit more decoration. I'm also going to use the fencing I just built on the road to build the fencing for the pumpkin patch. I can build off of the snap point from the fence at the end of the road and seamlessly transition that right to the pumpkin patch area. I don't currently have enough wood to finish the fencing, but in part 2 of this build, we'll go ahead and finish it. Let's now take all those pumpkin seeds that we've gotten farming pumpkins around DreamWorld and put them to good use. These are going to grow in this little area. It'll create a nice little pumpkin patch. We'll see the finished product in part 2. Now lastly, we have to put our torches down. I thought a little bit about what I wanted to use for the lighting, and since, you know, Halloween is coming up and this is a Halloween themed build, I decided to use pumpkin pulp. This would create an orange glow and, you know, kind of give off the Halloween vibes. I did use one redwood torch in front of the build though. However, the torches inside the barn and near the pumpkin patch were both orange. And there we have it. That is part 1 of our fall farmhouse build. We have a nice little pumpkin patch area, a gravel road, that incorporates the pumpkin patch and our farm. And most importantly, we have a fully functional farmhouse. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Look out for part 2 where we're gonna build a little wheat maze, as well as some farm stands to make this really feel like a nice fall Halloween attraction. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos similar to this one. If you want to give DreamWorld a try, again, head down to the description of this video where you'll find a link to the website where you can get our free trial or purchase the game in early access. And as always, have an amazing day, dreamers. We'll see you Friday. Bye-bye.